Good evening. My name is Dorcia Simmons. I am Chief of Staff for Fulton County Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr., who is the commissioner, serves over Fulton County District 5. I thought Commissioner Arrington wasn't going to be here this evening to join us, but I see he is on duty. He is a practicing attorney with a full-time job, but he's going to stop in real quick to say hello to you, and then we'll move on with the rest of our town hall. Say hello, Commissioner Arrington.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2023 budget town hall. We hope to have your input and receive your information. This is your budget. It is your Fulton County budget. You are the taxpayers, and so happy to have this opportunity to be able to speak to you and to receive your input on your budget.
Awesome.
And happy holidays to everyone.
So the District 5 office, we just completed some of our annual events, our hallmark events for the end of this season. One of them being Blanket Atlanta with Love, where we have fed those who are in need, approximately 100. They received hot meals, clothing, blankets, toiletries, and a lot. And so we do want to thank everyone who participated in that drive. And most recently, as of this week, we did our Dads, Daughters, and Dolls plus Sons, where we were able to collect toys for children whose fathers are incarcerated in Fulton County Jail over the holiday. And we would like to thank you for the outpouring of your love and contributions that over 150 children were able to receive their father's love beyond the bars. So tonight we're here to discuss the budget. Now, as of now, we are District 5 and we look a little different. Come January the 1st, we will be the new District 5, which will encompass more than what we encompass now. But we are losing some, but we are gaining many. So the new District 5 will look like some small parts of Southwest Atlanta, about 10% of East Point, 30% of College Park, 90% of the city of South Fulton, Chattahoochee Hills, Palmetto, Fairburn, and Union City. So we have increased our tent in Fulton County, but we are so happy to be able to serve more, and we're going to bring good government to them starting in January. Commissioner Arrington has been dedicated to bringing good government to the people, and it's not going to stop us now. So thank you all who have supported us and all who have supported his reelection. So without further ado, tonight I want to introduce you to Hakeem Oshikawa, our finance director, and he's just a good guy. I love Hakeem. We all love Hakeem because he's over that budget. And Sabrina McTeer, our new budget manager. So without further ado, Hakeem and Sabrina, it's yours.
Thank you very much, Dorcia. And good evening, Commissioner Arrington and the listening audience. Commissioner Arrington, I would like to personally thank you for inviting us to your District 5 Town Hall. My name is Hakeem Oshikoya. Again,
Hakeem, can you pull your screen down a little bit? We can't see your mouth.
Can you hear me?
Other way.
Oh, up?
There we go. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Again, my name is Hakeem Oshikoya. As Dorcia said, I'm the finance director for the county. I'm here with Ms. Sabrina McTeer, who is our budget manager. We will be providing you information on our 2023 proposed budget, which was submitted to our Board of Commissioners on November 15. This is as required by our budget ordinance. Commissioner Arrington, we want to listen to what your constituents would like our board to consider in the budget before its final adoption in January 2023. We'll pass the information up to the Board of Commissioner members for consideration as part of the deliberation. This is really the beginning of our budget process, even though we've submitted the budget, but we want to hear what you have to say, and this will give us the opportunity to see what we've missed in the proposed budget and what should be considered again. Without any further ado, I'm going to ask Ms. Sabrina McTeer to provide you with information on the budget. We have a short presentation, and after that, we want to hear your questions and concerns that we'll be able to take up to our board. Thank you. Ms. Matier, you may start, please.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Commissioner Arrington. Thank you so much for having us here. Hello to the citizens and the visitors of Fulton County. I wanted to also thank Commissioner Arrington for the opportunity to present and discuss the proposed budget for 2023. Now, before we jump into the information, I wanted to briefly highlight what I'll cover. Tonight, we'll briefly cover several areas. The first area is about the path to the 2023 financial plan, better known as our proposed budget, which begins with where are we now? So I have a slide, we can go to that slide, that next slide, please, that will briefly discuss our 2022 adopted budget and the expectations. So where are we now rolls into how are we doing, which will also have our 2022 projections. Also, we have the time frame. And from that time frame, understanding how we're not just presenting you a document right now. As Hakeem was saying, we had to submit it to the Board of Commissioners by November 15th. We've actually been seeking departmental input and board guidance since the summer. So this process doesn't end, and we're excited to present it to you. Also to present you with resources so that you can check this information yourself and provide us comments. So first, where are we now? The 2022 adopted budget began with almost $1 billion in resources. And that was because we projected, or we actually ended the year with about $250 million in our fund balance. On top of that, the board, this is the general fund, the board also projected or allowed for $857 million in expenditures. So with that, with $250 million coming over from 2021, $750 million to earn or receive through various sources. The majority are property taxes, both residential and commercial. And then spending about $857 million, we were originally at the beginning of the year projecting to end this year with $143 million. So remember how I said that we don't just start like in the fall. We have been monitoring and working and adjusting our projections in accordance with actual performance. So one thing I wanted to back up and let you all know is that the county's fiscal year is the calendar year. So we begin our year in January the 1st, and we end our year in December. So today's December the 15th. In a couple of weeks, we are going to wrap up the end of 2022. These original projections came probably the middle of the year, and then we had to adjust them. So we saw that we were trending higher in other revenue. So we were about, about $14 million in other revenue higher than what we projected that we would receive, that we thought at the beginning of the year. And then also during this year, we've been spending lower than what our approved budget was. So based on this slide, it shows that we would be receiving about $14 million more in revenue, but then we would be spending about $25 million less in expenses. So that would leave the year with about $182 million to carry over into 2023. Next slide, please. So from there, I wanted to just kind of show you several appropriated funds that the board actually approves and where we have come from 2021 up through what we have proposed in 2023. So you'll see that for 2023, the proposed budget is coming in at about 1.2, almost $1.3 billion. That's 1,287,000,000.9. So of that includes various funds, and a lot of interest usually surrounds the general fund, because that's the fund where our major countywide services are paid from, and that's where our property taxes go. So you can see it's highlighted in orange, or light orange. The general fund is proposed at $850 million. Then we have the airport fund, which accounts for the activities at Fulton County's executive airport. That's over off of I-20 on Fulton Industrial Boulevard. So we have the activities at the executive airport. Then we also have the water revenue fund, and the water revenue fund accounts for the water and sewer billing and collection activities. So water and sewer is provided by Fulton County it's an area up north, but in the south, particularly for the district in which we're speaking, District 5, we provide sewer services, and the city of Atlanta, or I'm trying to think going all the way down, but the city of Atlanta provides water, but Fulton County provides sewer. And that's where you can find that in the water revenue fund. Next, we have the water renewal fund, and that accounts for $111 million. And that's where we fund capital improvements to our water sewer system. Next, we have the FID fund, and that stands for Fulton Industrial District. So this is our special services fund, which accounts for activities in the small sliver of unincorporated Fulton County. Now, there is still an area that is unincorporated, and that is not a part of a city. So the FID fund stands for Fulton Industrial District, which is Fulton Industrial Boulevard, that little area. And so it has, as a special service district, its own fund. Next, we are coming in at about $8.2 million proposed for our 911 emergency fund, which is for our emergency communications. We have our debt on our library bonds, which is our library bond fund. We also have our risk fund, which is proposed at about $64.8 million in 2023, and that's where the county's insurance, liability, a portion of our county attorney's activities reside there. So that's the risk fund. And then finally, we have our special appropriation fund, which is a bunch of funds where revenue is received for a specific purpose. So those reside in our special appropriations fund. And that is what makes up this $1.2 billion. Next slide, please. Now, all of those were numbers. What does it, and where it is, but what does it actually mean? Basically, the county, particularly our Board of Commissioners, our elected officials, they have a strategic plan. We have a strategic plan from 2021 to 2025. I encourage you all to go to the Fulton County website to take a look at that. However, how your money is spent and the budget priorities and how we put it to use, of course, follows the county's mission and the vision, which is to deliver efficient, high impact service to every citizen and also visitor of the county. And so that is accomplished by our strategic priorities. And those are divided into the ones that you see on the screen. So we have health and human services, And in the general fund, we are contributing about 119, almost $120 million of the 850 million for Health and Human Services. Our largest by far of the general fund goes to Justice and Safety. That's actually about 45% of the general fund's budget is dedicated to justice and safety. Next, we have Open and Responsible Government, which is about 24%. And for the general fund, that's coming in at $204 million of financial resources. Next, we have Infrastructure and Economic Development, and then also Arts and Libraries. And this is the breakout by fund, by budget priority, which gets us to that 1.2, almost $1.3 billion. Next slide, please. Next, I want to talk to you really quickly about how this budget was formed. So when I started down the financial path and I said, where are we now with our 2022 budget? And I referenced our projections of how we're going to end the year. We don't know. That's what we projected. We're tracking it. We have 2 weeks left and we're going to see. But based on our projections, we were going to end this year with $182 million in fund balance. That coupled with the revenue of $810 million, which comes from about 2% of additional revenue, either through taxes or some of our other revenue. We have $676 million that we're expecting to receive, which is from taxes, commercial and residential. That makes up about 83% of the total revenue that we receive. We're projecting about $17 million in loss for the local option sales tax proceeds, and then $101 million, which is about 13% in other revenue, which includes interest income, court fees, licenses, permits, things that aren't taxes, right? And lost and other. So that is what makes up the $810 million. We have discussed really briefly the $850 million. And this is just another way to show our budget priorities. And with all of this, we have to maintain a fund balance reserve, which is 16.67% of our expenditure budget. So that's where we have $142 million that we're going to end. Next slide, please. It's a lot, right? This slide is showing and detailing of the 45% of our budget priority, which is to justice and safety, the departments that are funded out of that particular $379 million. So we have these resources, you have the slides, it's recorded as well, but just to highlight, of the $379 million, we have the sheriff who's coming in at a proposed budget of about $124 million. And of course, that's for jail operations and also security. And we're dedicated, of course, to the safety and security. We are also putting money in to justice and safety for to address jail overcrowding. So outsourcing inmate housing, that's in here. We have the sheriff, we have police, we have our courts, our district attorney. The main thing that I wanted to draw your attention is that of our complete $850 million, 45% of that is being dedicated to justice and safety. Next slide, please. This particular slide is covering open and responsible government, our priority area of about 24%. And that's coming in at $204 million. These are the departments that are comprised of open and responsible government. So we talked about our county services, particularly billing and collection of taxes. So we have our tax assessor, we have our tax commissioner, we have finance in there, our county manager, our diversity and civil rights compliance departments, registration and elections. That's all in open and responsible government. Also, some of our unavoidables, we think about service delivery to you all. We also have in this area, such as purchasing, what it takes to actually provide all of these services to the citizens. So electricity, gas, utilities, our pension contributions, that is what is sitting. Getting your payments, if you're going to do business with the county, these things are sitting in open and responsible, and that's about 24% of our total budget. Next slide, please. I wanted to focus on 14% of the general fund budget at 119, almost $120 million is going to health and human services, that particular budget priority area. So, the county does provide a ton of services, whether it's realized or not. We wanted to really put before you what you fund. So in the health and human services priority area, we have DFACs, indigent burials. We're also having funding for the veterans program under community development. We fund permanent and supportive housing. I know that PAD has kind of been a hot topic. It's in the budget. PAD is in the budget. We fund a contribution to the Board of Health. We also focus on diversion programs, rehab centers, school-based therapy, senior services, transportation, home-delivered meals, our adult day care centers. And we're also still funding in this proposed budget for Grady, for indigent healthcare. We have about 49, almost $50 million scheduled or proposed. This is how we're dividing up your money, and we are interested in hearing your thoughts. But this was our best trying to put it all together with the resources that we have. Next slide. I think we have infrastructure and economic development coming up at 13% of the budget, which is $113 million. And this is where our Department of Real Estate and Asset Management sits, information technology, a portion of public works, economic development. It is our intention to be the best stewards and custodians of your money. And so this, of course, in the financial transparency of how we're sharing what's in this proposed budget. Finally, we're going to round out, next slide, with our arts and libraries. So that's about 4% of our general fund budget. However, 30 million, and it's actually coming in at 35 million, which 30 million is for our libraries to support library operations and support services. $4.5 million is dedicated for our arts and culture centers, our contract for services. And I'll have to say, I know that I am zooming through this. However, in the world that we're in right now, inflation, everything costs more. Everything costs more. And so I wanted to acknowledge that in us presenting this proposed budget, there were many unmet needs, but it was our goal, particularly unmet needs in the area of public safety and also public health. Everything costs more. Dealing with the financial resources that we have, we acknowledge that we could not propose everything. We have a limited number of resources. but we wanted to be as transparent as possible as to the items, and our goal was to maintain a similar level of service to the citizens. So it's that is our goal. Everything costs more. Where are we now? How did we get to developing the financial plan, which is our proposed budget for 2023? The process started, of course, during the summertime. We wanted to make sure that we got input and discussion. We're here to present this information to you as well. And I think on the next slide, I have a place for you to go on the website to find the resources that I have kind of referenced. And okay, so if you wanted to read the proposed budget in its entirety, look at what the final adopted budget was for this year, read about the strategic plan, actually check on our financial transparency websites, which are openbudget.fultoncountyga.gov. If you want to see where, or not even where, or to whom we're paying, we have open checkbook. We have a lot of financial transparency on the Fulton County website. So don't just believe me, go ahead and download the information for yourself. Where we are in this budget process though, that's that next slide as far as the next steps. We started in the summertime. Okay, Rico, if you can go back 2 slides then for me. There you go, thank you. So we started in the summertime, got departmental input, made sure that we kept this top of mind before the Board of Commissioners, continued this process well into the fall until we were able to balance the budget and deliver it to the board on November the 15th. On that November 16th recess meeting, we did present this budget to the board. We had an official public hearing as required by law on the regular meeting in December. Was that last week? I think that was December the 7th or so. And we invite continued discussion. The next steps would be that, of course, we're wrapping up the year in a couple of weeks. So we will have actual financial performance numbers to present and to share to the board. There will be continued discussion, and then the board will vote on the proposed budget to be an actual adopted budget, either the first or the second meeting in January. So probably the second meeting or so maybe a month from now. But that is pretty much my presentation for the proposed budget. I know it was a lot. The county does a lot. And so we really try to maintain level of service, honor our commissioners' budget priorities where they wanted to align these funds, which of course they're an extension of you. So you heard it here. And we look forward to receiving questions. I think that's it. I will turn it back over. Should I turn it back over to you, Dorsha, or Hakeem? Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Thank you very much, Sabrina. I think you covered everything very thoroughly. As a matter of fact, I appreciate the additional efforts that you put in to let our taxpayers know the programs that the county is offering, because at times we do hear from people saying that maybe the county is not offering any kind of service at all, or whatever we're offering is not something that they could use. So I'm glad to see that you're able to cover all of those programs. And this is just if I may say, this is just a slight number of programs that we offer. We do have additional services and programs that we offer, but we can't cover everything in this kind of forum. So as Sabrina suggested, I will hope that you will take the time to look at all of the other materials, available resources that we have on our website, so that, you can familiarize yourself with what we do, because without you, we can't exist. So we are here to serve you. Thank you. Doctor, we can hear you.
Thank you, Hakeem. Thank you all so much for that very thorough presentation on our budget, our 2023 budget. I don't know that we've gotten any questions in via chat or via email, but again, this is your 2023 budget. So we want to make sure that we hear from you as residents. We want your input and we want your guidance. So please feel free to continue to share that input and guidance with me and the other commissioners, so that when we get ready to make a final vote next year, once the new commissioners are seated, we will be able to make sure that this budget accurately represents your interest and your priorities.
Yes, so are there any questions? I see that we do have attendees, some attendees. Have we received any questions? Because if not, then we will conclude this evening if there are no questions. Okay, Commissioner.
Well, thank you so much, Dorsha. Thank you to our budget staff for presenting all of the great information on our 2023 budget. We want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. We hope that you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy Kwanzaa. So enjoy your family and your health during this holiday season, and may you all continue to be blessed.
Amen. Same to you, Commissioner Arrington. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, Commissioner Arrington.
Thank
Hakeem,
you all. It's been a pleasure.
You always invite yourself anyway, if you're not invited.
Hakeem,
It's
you
been
got
a
a good one.
pleasure.
You got a good one there with Sabrina.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, we know. Thank you. Thank you,
All
Commissioner.
right, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sabrina.
Thank you so much.
Happy
Okay.
holidays.
Bye.
Take care.